Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the GallowgateShots YouTube channel and podcast. We are back with another post-match reaction. This time, another thriller at St. James's Park, a 2-2 draw against Bournemouth. I am your host, Chris, joined by Daryl and Decker. We're going to keep this one pretty short. It is a Sunday afternoon, so we're all off to do something after this. Not together, independently. But Daryl, I'm going to come to you straight away. Are you fed up with these games now? Because it's an absolute roller coaster at the minute.
Do you know what it is, right? As much as it's fun, I'm going to say it's fun for the neutral more than anybody else, because to be honest, I'd rather just start winning games and being solid. I just cannot handle this leaky defense anymore. And it's really nice that we're able to score these goals and get them from all over the place. But nah, I just want to start winning games properly. And like I say, being comfortable and being solid. It's enough.
You're not asking for much, eh?
Nah.
It's a funny one, isn't it? Because, you know, back in the day when you used to have that big flag and it was just demand a team that tries and all of that. You can't deny that. Everybody's trying, right? And
that's true.
And I've always laughed and said that's not really the truth. Like, people always remember back in the day when you're struggling, they go, put a young kid on, he'll run around and give you everything. It's never enough.
Yeah.
It's not enough. Running around and giving everything's not enough.
Of course it's not enough, because you just
winning
look at certain
games.
players. Like so Miggy springs out of mind and he's running around left, right, and centre, trying his best to close the ball down at times, but that's not good enough because the end product isn't there. I get the sentiment of that banner, which we used to be in the Gallowgate plenty of times before, but like you said, Digger,
it's not really true, is it?
It's bullshit. At the end of the day, we want a team that wins.
Exactly. If you just do, you know what I mean? You always get some bloke going, just hire 11 young'uns on MLK more, but if you don't win, it's winning that counts, right? And this has been my worry for the last few weeks. And like, I was watching the game on Saturday and I thought, this is just Luton all over again. It's just the same game. Like, absolute chaos from the minute you kick off. No, neither team's really got control. We're just 100 miles an hour. It's like a game of basketball, end to end constantly. It's like the last 5 minutes of a game for a full 90. It's just mental. Like,
so we mentioned this, Deck, on Monday's All Smile Faces podcast show, that it's very much back to the Keegan days in how we are playing at the moment, where it's just hopefully we'll score more than the opposition. It's painful to watch though at times, because I'm not gonna lie, we'll go through the goals though, but when we went 2-1 down, I was worried at that point. I honestly didn't see we're getting back into it, probably because of the lack of a striker, but once again we'll touch on that in a minute. But it's becoming quite nerve-wracking watching Newcastle, and for Newcastle United last year, that were this defensive force, was the best defensive in the league or joint best in the league. Now we are leaking goals, Digger.
Well, it's a funny one, because when I was younger and a kid, I loved the Keegan days and seeing these 4-3s and seeing great attacking football, and it's what you want, right? But I think for us, you know, under Eddie Howe, it is very strange, isn't it, to see with defence. And this is what I've said this for a while, and all, by the way. It's not just your back four, your back five, if you include your keeper. It's as a team, isn't how you defend and how you work off the ball and stuff. And to have the best defence in the league, to now really, you're conceding 2 goals every game, it feels like at the minute. You know, and it's hard in any game, especially at Premier League level, to win a game of football if you're going to be almost giving them 2 goals. You know what I mean? I don't know, and I think I appreciate we're going to probably get on to Dan Burn. Sorry, Mark, but we're probably all going to get on to him at some point. But it's more than just him. It's more than just him. Collectively as a team, we're not defending well enough. And you see, other people will probably watch that game yesterday, and think we dominated the game for so long, to be fair, before their second goal. I would agree with that. I would. But we're just so vulnerable on the counter-attack. Like, the second the team breaks, I'm getting them old feelings where, you know, when a team used to just come out and you're like, oh, I didn't have that last season. Teams would come out and go, it'd be absolutely
quite
fine.
calm about it.
Whereas I remember, and I don't want to go all the way back, but like Bruce and all them times, I used to think, oh, the second a team got a little bit of possession, I thought, I'm going to score you. And unfortunately, I'm feeling like that again.
It's such a contrast to what we're used to, having seen it last season, where we're just, like you said, Chris, just so solid and so composed at the back. And then all of a sudden, we've come into this season, you know, you then start to search for reasons as to why it's changed so much. And you go down the route of, is it just the amount of games that were played compared to last season already? Injuries, of course, come into it as well. But it's just so much of a contrast, and it's the same players. And you then begin to think, well, are these lads being found out now? Are we now being found out by these teams? And it's quite clear on the evidence, certainly since the new year, that teams are targeting a certain part of the pitch, and we are very susceptible in that area.
I think it's a combination of about three things, isn't it? I think it's a combination of teams have found out a way to play against her, and I think one of the main ones, might be the level that some of these individuals played at last year was so far above maybe what them are. And that's no disrespect. I'm not saying they're playing poorly, by the way. We're still 7th or 8th. I'm not saying we're playing really badly. But the level that they found last year, they just can't quite find that again, because that's not really the level they were at. And maybe we're just seeing the combination of a few things,
But I think we addressed this last season as well. We knew that these players were overperforming to a certain extent. We knew that, and Eddie Howe was getting even more than the best out of these players. We knew it. So at some point, it was always going to drop. The level was going to drop. Not fitness or anything like that, but the likes of performances on the field and what everybody was given. Everybody's still given 100%, but it's not having the same effect as what it was last year, Daryl.
Yeah.
But to go through the game itself, the first off, like you said, to be fair, probably majority of the game, we dominated possession. We looked busy with the ball. We were trying to push forward and just go over a couple of stats throughout the game. Newcastle made 478 passes and Bournemouth made less than 300. So it shows you straight away that I think the average run of passes that we were getting was 5, mind. So once again, quickly getting dispossessed, and that's pretty sloppy in possession. I noticed Botman a few times in the first half couldn't find a player.
No.
Even 5-yard passes, you just couldn't find them. But what I want to focus on the first half, because yes, it was pretty end-to-end, but we probably saw the best of Martin Dubravka in that first half. 2 fantastic saves, Daryl.
Oh yeah.
The second one, which was the one with Slanky, where he's on the edge of the 6-yard box, probably within the 6-yard box,
point blank,
and Dubravka does immense there.
So good. And even for that first one as well, he just made himself big, and he had what we'll get on to eventually. In contrast, because he showed such strong hands in that first half, and he got himself in the way of those 2 attempts, and he got the applause from the crowd as well. He got all applauded.
Chance, yeah.
We were all singing his name in the corner, and and he just looked so composed. And then obviously when we get onto the second half and things change, but yeah, I mean, even have to give credit, even though we know that Sven Botman was a little bit sloppy in possession, he still had to put a couple of good challenges in that time as well, and a couple of clearances just to get the ball out of the box.
That one in the first half where he basically just toe punts it away.
Yeah.
I think that might be Slanky coming in as well, just to bury that, and he just toe punts it away.
So is the first save you're referencing where Slanky's played in and he shoots with his left foot? It's quite a tame shot.
I think it must be the one where Botman kicks it away straight after.
That's correct.
Yeah,
yes,
that's the one.
He just gets there. That's right. Yeah, that was probably, I thought, a poor finish, but that's not taking anything away from Dubravka. The second one, Slanky has to score. However, it's amazing from Dubravka. And again, I thought Bournemouth were really dangerous the first 20 or so. Like, I thought, God, it just seemed to be in every time they come forward. Which touches on what we spoke about at the beginning. But yeah, Dubravka certainly the first half, and that's why I feel so sorry for him in the second, to be fair. But in the first half, if it wasn't for him, we would have went in behind any. Definitely.
You could see throughout the first half, though, Daryl, that the fans were not happy with the referee's performance. And I'm asking you the question because obviously in the match preview, you look over the referee and he had quite a busy time with yellow cards in his, 9 games he had done so far this season in the Premier League?
Issued 34 in 9 previous games that he'd done before yesterday, which is, you're talking about just over 3 a game. And then you add the 40 yesterday, so he's averaging 3.8 yellows per game now.
I think he had lost them in the first half, though.
Well, absolutely, yeah. I mean, there's loads of challenges went in, and not just from Bournemouth as well. There's a couple of interesting ones from us as well that you thought, well, you're not going to get your card out. Where are they? Left them inside, like you say, and it was so strange. And I I did message my mate last night, and he's a linesman, and I asked him. I normally do ask him about the referee, and I said, "What did you make of him yesterday?" And his one-word reply was abysmal. And it's not normally like him to really go down that route. And he definitely could have issued a yellow earlier than he did. And then
fourth minute was the first yellow
card.
Yeah,
and you know what it is? I had a funny feeling that once he gave out one, he might just start to lose control of the game and then have to give out more because he'd been trying to be so lenient or otherwise in the build-up to then when he eventually gave out that first yellow card. And
was lenient to an extent where it was getting a bit too much. Though, there's a couple of things we know that they're clamping down on wasting time in the season, and we saw it straight away from Bournemouth's keeper. But even when free kicks are getting awarded, players kicking the ball away. We saw that a few times.
Continuing on, there was a couple of times where they just kept on running with the ball and running away, and it's like sort it out. And
Well,
it is.
I'm not sure if they've actually if they focused this on the broadcast, which would have been on TV, but in the ground where the keeper and Anthony Gordon would just keep swapping the ball between each other. Did you see that, Daryl? So, Decker. So the Anthony Gordon was he caused a foul, so he tackled someone, he pushed them to the deck on the line, right? With goalkeeper
in the second half, yeah.
So the goalkeeper picks the ball up and he then moves it about 10 yards further forward. Gordon runs back, picks it up, puts it back on the line. The keeper then picks the ball up, puts it 10 yards forward. Gordon comes back, puts it back on the line. Then the referee came over and goes on the line. Then the keeper picks up, puts it 10 yards forward, and carry on.
Yeah, it was. I think to reference what I was saying, I'm normally a fan of a referee letting things go, if I'm honest, because I think the game is too soft, in my opinion. However, there was certain that Christie for them. I mean, goodness me, he could have been in the book, way before he actually was.
He was the first one booked.
Him and Bruno were having a right battle in the first half.
I think he strangled Bruno at one point.
Yeah, it was honestly, it was getting, and listen, I get it, right? They're going to. If I was the opposition team, I'd also stick a man on him and try and wind him up, and that's what I would do. But I think the ref was losing a bit of control, and obviously we are always quite what's the word, feisty if a referee's not doing the job. We'll soon let them know, and we did. And I thought, as I say, I think the referee for 44 minutes, I didn't realize it was that late on in the first half, but there was a few challenges and a few things I think he could have acted on earlier, definitely.
Yeah, agree. Let's just go straight to it. How unlucky has he been, Daryl? Martin Dubravka. It's such an easy ball to play out, but he just loses his footing with his right foot. He tries to plant and he just slips. And do you know what it is? Credit to Solanke just for putting the pressure on there, because he's not close to the ball, to be fair. He's running around similar to what he's Wilson would do for us.
Or like what Gordon was, because Gordon did exactly the same in the first half and he got contact on it. But yeah, I mean, as soon as the second half was kicked off, obviously where we are in the corner, I look out into the stadium, you can see the rain's already starting to fall, and I'm thinking, it's one of them where it's going to start, the ball's going to start getting away from players if it's put over the top. And that made me think more about our attack at the time, because obviously where the front three that we were playing was more based on pace and countering. And then obviously when that ball's played across and you just see Martin stumble and that right foot of his just goes and you just think, oh no. And then, like you say, Solanke's there, right place, right time, pounces straight on it and puts it in. Easiest goal he's probably ever going to score. I think there was an audible from me. It was just an, oh no. And it just head in hand sort of thing. And it's weird because I thought that was more likely to happen to the Bournemouth keeper than it was to him, because we were closing the Bournemouth keeper down quite well.
Yeah,
for most of that game.
Gordon closed down the first handful of minutes, where he just smashes the ball and it hits off Gordon. And do you know what? He's very lucky that doesn't find the back of the net, because that blocker could have put the ball anywhere. But I'm the same with you, Daryl. And do you know what it is? I'm a big Dubravka fan, Decker. I've been quite vocal about it. But you can see as the week's going on, similar to other players, where it's kind of turning on Dubravka. People were waiting for that mistake. Despite how well he played in the first half, people were waiting for that mistake so they could pounce on him.
Yeah, I'd say so. I think I said when Pope got his injury that when Dubravka come in, which it's a big loss. I said that at the time. I'm sitting here saying it. And I said that there's, for me, over the course of a season, Pope will save you points, not just moments in games. He'll get your points over the line, whereas I feel like Dubravka's just not his level. Yeah. And I think the thing is, Dubravka's always had moments in games, hasn't he, where he's an amazing shot stopper. There's so many games in my mind I'm thinking of now where, you can play for an hour, right? And he'll just be saving everything coming at him. You're like, oh, he's unbelievable. And then bang, something will happen. And you go back to the Forest game, rushing out for no reason whatsoever. The slip, the slip, you cannot really blame him. It happens, right? I think what I'm more annoyed about with the slip, and I'm going to be very critical of another player, it's not relevant to that situation, but we missed some really, really good opportunities in that first half. Almiron especially, can I add?
Yeah.
Shoot, there was a few, and I just feel, even in the second half, there was a few Almiron's through and skies it over. Could have played Gordon and wasteful. Yeah. We could have been ahead in the game for that moment, maybe not matter as much, if that makes sense. And I think you collectively have to take responsibility that, yes, he's done the slip, and in that moment, it looks awful and it's his fault, but I felt like we could have been not out of sight by any stretch, but certainly had a goal or two ourselves. You know what I mean?
It felt like we were really wasteful with our attack. And we really, as you hinted earlier, we really missed a central striker. We really missed that out and out focal point in the attack.
If people haven't seen the heat maps yet, though, if you look at our heat map compared to what it normally would be, obviously with either Isaac or Wilson playing up top, you can see that Gordon's position is on the left hand side. He kept on drifting out to that left hand side, so it was him and Barnes just in a very similar position. On the heat map, there's just a huge gap where your striker should be, as if we were never there.
Yeah, there was a few times in the first half where Almiron and people were crossing the ball, brilliant crosses as well.
Yeah.
It just wasn't a single person in the box. And sometimes if you play without a forward, you'll dominate in other areas because you'll overload certainly the wide areas. If Gordon's dropping out left, you should be able to overload them areas. But
do you think this is why we weren't really putting that many crosses into the box in the first half? And for a long period of time, we were trying to just work it into the box, and Bruno was getting in great positions, but then just holding on the ball that little bit too long before he was clinical with his passes, what he normally is. Do you think it is just because of the lack of the striker which we've had?
I think so. I do think so. Yeah, I think because they'll know. Like, it's really hard as well because when you haven't set up to play that way. Don't get us wrong. In training, they would have worked on something. It's very hard, though, isn't it? Within a week, 5 days to go. Oh, lads, we're going to have to really change how we play. We've seen how many times we should go down the right hand side and look for crosses in the box. All of that gameplay is gone because there is no one in the box. It's really, really difficult.
And you know what it is, Darryl? It's fine when Gordon comes and plays as that striker role, that false number 9, whatever the hell you want to call it, when there's 15, 20, 30 minutes left on the clock. For a full 90 minutes, it's just not sustainable for that full 90 minutes.
You're absolutely right. It really is. And, as we mentioned earlier, the way we're playing at the minute, and it's like the last 5 minutes inside of 90. And it showed as well because we ended up having to take Barnes off after, 67 minutes because he was tired. And I know he's returning from injury, so that had a contributing effect to it as well. But you could see straight away. I mean, obviously, when we get to the second Bournemouth goal, there's just a huge gap because the midfield are trying to press and they haven't got the legs in them anymore. They're just running themselves into the ground.
I do want to, you're right about to say this, but I have to mention Miley. I really want to mention Miley. I thought he was outstanding. I thought he was brilliant.
He was great. Probably his best performance.
I thought so. I really did.
You know what it is? It's all stemmed from that last part of the Luton game, and Eddie identified it afterwards in the post-match where he said that he tried it and he tried Miley as the 6 and it worked for that little period of time at the end of the Luton game, and he was impressed. And then we saw it last week at Forest, and then we saw it yesterday against Bournemouth, and he's sitting in deeper.
Really good, wasn't he?
Oh yeah.
So we all know
passes around
we know he's great on the ball. I was really impressed with his intelligent effort. He was winning tackles. He was stopping the break-up play.
That one ball that he put in for Barnes.
Which one?
Inside.
So from where we're sat in the corner, it looks like it's just going to get intercepted that ball, but he just bends it around the right back.
Yeah.
Just runs in, and Barnes just basically, thank you very much.
I thought he put too much on it, and it was going to go out, and then obviously Barnes gets onto it, and it's just it's a lovely ball.
It was beautiful to see that ball from our position where we were sat, Darryl.
He was outstanding, man.
Let's talk about our goal and the circus that went with it. The ball comes in the box, and Fabian Shaw straight away he's claiming that he's been fouled in there. In the ground as normal when VR has a chance to do things. We're sat and we're waiting. Then we're waiting. VR checking for handball, I think it said first. Then it said VR checking for offside.
Yeah.
Then VR checking for possible foul.
Yeah.
All three of them was going in. It took about 5 minutes, I would say, to go through it all.
Maybe longer.
A long time. And you think the more this goes on, if you're being quite pessimistic about it, you're thinking they're trying to find a way not to award.
We've been in that
penalty.
position before.
But in the ground, I still didn't know what it was awarded for. If I'm being honest with you, I thought it was handball at the time, but obviously looking back now, it's the pull on Fabian Shaw's shirt.
I could tell at the time that it was definitely more for the shirt pull than a handball or anything. But again, because of the situation that we found ourselves in the ground, I think we also lack we need a second screen. Because some people can see the screen and some of us can't, especially.
It doesn't bother me, I don't really bother us.
I know they cannot show the footage yet, but I think they might get round to the point where they'll have to. And watching Match of the Day and listening to the analysis of it, and it then goes on. It shows how complex some of the rules are now, and it's all about the phase and whatnot. Because he does start offside. He's start offside.
I don't get it, and I'm not sure if you do take it, but. He's offside, right? He's offside, so I don't understand what difference the foul makes because I don't know what it is. It just shows you once again the rule book is must be mental.
So my initial reaction was there's definitely a shirt pull. Now my first reaction was, are they going to give it as a free kick because it starts outside the box, or they're going to give a penalty? Now,
like they did last week at the
exactly.
Burn challenge.
But that went to my head was the Luton game that started outside and fell in inside. My second point was, oh, he's a mile offside. He's offside. Not a mile. That's
But you
exaggerated.
could tell.
Oh yeah.
And I just thought, oh, sat back down. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It's not going to matter. But then when I now know they've done it because it's an off the ball incident.
Mhm.
Now we'll try and rephrase this a bit then. So let's say they're having a free kick and they're against us, right? And we had Wilson or someone up front, and their lad just elbows him in the face. It's probably still a foul, like, even though it's nothing to do at all.
Yeah.
It's off the ball. So I get it now, but at the time I've thought, if you're offside,
You're offside.
shouldn't matter.
So what I was saying on Match of the Day, it's because that the flight of the ball hasn't been judged yet, hasn't been put in yet, so they don't know if Fabian Shaw's even going to have an attempt at getting to the ball, which means, yes, he might be in an offside position there, but the ball might deflect somewhere, then it lands to him when he's on an on onside position, where then he can have an influence in the game.
Mm-hmm.
But at this moment in time, because the ball hadn't been put in, it's anybody's guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he was offside, but was he going to have any sort of interaction with the ball? Because you're only offside if you've got that interaction. It's mental.
Which then shows just how it's taken so long for them to work it
No,
out. So there's
absolutely
a
right,
level
you're
of
right.
understanding when you think about
that
it.
rule book.
Oh yeah.
Well, to me, when he was offside, I thought, oh, it's definitely not going to be given. But then it kept going on. And I'm thinking, well, the longer I was the opposite, I was thinking they're trying to find a reason to give it here because it felt that way, you know.
Do you know what it reminds us of? They've had somebody in there, like, you remember the Burton game in the Championship where it's Rafa's assistant with his iPad with the rules written down. It would be somebody like that in the bar room.
Must
Like,
be hard,
there's the
really
rule.
hard. But I mean, again, I see this all the time. If it was against us, I always have to look at that. I'd be devastated. Like, I'd be saying he's offside. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's what I'd be saying. I have to be honest.
Yeah.
Even now that we know why it's being awarded, I'm still scratching my head thinking, I don't really get this.
We've got to be lucky there, I think.
Yeah.
Personally,
Well, I agree.
mind you, the lads just shouldn't be holding your shirt like.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
yeah.
And do you know what is? You see it every single game, and it's about time they did start awarding these sort of things because everybody's sick of seeing it. Andy Gordon steps up and just buries that to the keeper's left. Great penalty. Keeper gets really close. But it's a great finish by Gordon. What I love from that is, yes, he had his little moment of a bit of a fist bump to the corner, but he gets the ball. Wants to get it.
It's more like
go. Go.
Yeah.
We can win this. And that's what I love about Anthony Gordon. He always wants more.
Yeah.
He demands more. Yeah, he's one of the players that probably demands more from everybody else just with the performance he puts in on a weekly basis.
Fast forward when we got to full time and he sat down in the middle of the half that we were attacking, and he's just sat down and he's absolutely pounding the floor because he's so frustrated. And I love
his
that.
interview seemed it as well. Seemed annoyed at leaking goals.
There's probably reasons for that as well, which we'll touch on. In fact, we'll go to it now because I think we were it was 1-1 at this point. And there's a great ball played in, and Gordon is through. The keeper's miles off his line. And Gordon probably doesn't realise.
That's what it is.
Then last minute he sees it and he just tries. He tries it, and obviously
he takes a touch which because he thinks it's going to lead him towards goal, but he doesn't realise the keeper's on his arse basically.
I think
miles
and I still think that's the like if that's an Isak or even a Wilson, it's just not having that ounce in front of goal like that. You know, it's not his position.
It just need to be hit first time. He just need to hit first time.
Or if he sees him coming, he's able to the touch is to go round the keeper in one. Do you know what I mean? Whereas he just doesn't know he's there. There was another chance I want to reference. Bruno played an unbelievable through ball for Murphy, and Murphy just bottles it.
Yeah,
just bottles it.
It wasn't the only thing he bottled though.
Well, I thought he was dreadful when he come on. But anyway, we're causing trouble. This is the moment where I referenced right at the start. We were having real joy, as you would expect. Right, we've just scored. We're at home. We're shooting towards a Gallowgate. Like I was thinking we're going to win the game. Right? That's what I felt like. And then bang. You know, it's just such a suck up. I didn't even feel them card come forward since their goal. It felt like that to me anyway. And then obviously the breakthrough, one pass.
Yeah, one pass takes everybody out.
Moves them 50 yards up the field here, and the through on goal. Because I've watched it a few times back, and that one pass, the 2-on-2, it's two of us against two of them, and that just kind of be happening. Like, but yeah. And then the finish, which we'll put on.
Everybody will look at that left back position once again because this is just like Darryl said earlier on, that's a part of the field where we're going to get targeted. We know that before ball's even being kicked. We know what's going to happen. And there's a couple of times in the first half where they had tried it, got in a decent position, but nothing came of it. Similar to what we've seen before.
Yep.
That yes, they'll get past Dan Burn, but nothing comes of it. I do want to say Dan Burn made some great defensive headers as well throughout that game. He really did. But once again, it's another break where, yes, we'll have to look at the midfield as well because, like I said, it just takes out the full midfield. That one more gone. Might as well not be there.
Like I said earlier, just like the Forest game where they were pressing high because we're riding the crest of a wave at this point. We're pushing to get a winner. and then we just find that all the midfield have pushed up and there's no protection, and then that, like you say, that ball's just played through and it just slices were wide open.
Yeah. So yeah, he gets it on the right hand side of the box. The keeper's left hand side, and he gets in a decent position. Obviously, he beats. Is it Botman that day as well?
Yeah.
Again, it always seems to be Botman and Dan Burn that are once again the slowest people I've ever seen in my life, chasing players down. I'm saying chasing. There's not much of a chase going on.
It's sad, because Dan's trying his level best to try and just hold him off, which, to be honest, in that situation is probably the right thing to do.
Oh, yeah.
He's doing everything right.
You don't want to dive in because if he goes skip around you, you're in big trouble.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's
So I don't
doing
think Dan
everything.
Burn does much wrong.
Yeah.
He could be a little bit more closer to him. He's backing off maybe a bit too much for me. But
he's just backing and backing and end up in that central position, isn't he?
Yeah.
Which we've seen himself concede so many goals this season from that angle.
It's something. He's always done. It seems like it's a natural reaction for him not to try and push somebody out wide, but to tuck in.
Not realizing that there's somebody there behind him that can do that job and step up. But it happened, and do you know what it is? It's a great finish. Personally, I think Dubravka should be doing better.
Absolutely, yeah.
Of course, he should be.
It is a good hit,
but before we even started and record this one, Daryl, you mentioned it's such a shame that error and that slip that Dubravka had, which conceded the first goal, you could see that affected him for the rest of the game.
Yeah, like there was moments after the slip where you just thought,
he's just parrying out into spaces where he doesn't normally do it.
His kicking had gone off. It really affected him upstairs in his head, and it's not what we're used to seeing from him. We're normally used to seeing, like you said earlier, Decker, when he's a good shot stopper, so he's normally good at just piling in a save after save after save and stopping everything. And it went through his hand. That was the thing that I was looking for when I was watching it back. And I think, did it go through his hand, or did he actually maybe he's just a step too far to one side? And when you see it, and it sort of like clips his fingers, and you think it needs to be better.
In freeze frame in a moment, if you watch it back and you see that lad about to take the shot, my mind's made all the best from there. That's honestly, when he was lining up, I was like, I crack on. Because you're not going to score from there.
Yeah.
And obviously, of course, egg on my face yet again.
Corner. Yeah.
But like the keeper has to be doing better.
Yeah. No, I agree. I 100% agree. It takes substitutions in the 91st minute. Obviously, there's 10 minutes added on.
Yeah.
Let's be clear, there's 10 minutes added on because of obviously VAR and everything else which happened in the second half. 10 minutes added on, and we see Miley and Almiron go off, and we see Joe White and Matt Ritchie come on.
I liked what I saw from Joe White.
Penny for holes.
Yeah.
I did like what I saw from Joe White.
I did as well.
He looked busy, didn't he?
He looked very tidy. Very tidy.
Yeah, he looked busy. But
you got Viana vibes. I was getting.
Really?
I was.
All right.
But listen,
after 10 minutes.
This is no. I'm just saying the way he collected the ball and moved. Listen, I'm not wanting him to start every week. I'm just saying. He had this vibe, like the way he controlled the ball and stuff. Reminded him.
But
I just kept thinking the hole on the bench.
It's Matt Ritchie. Daryl that gets it. I tell you what, I was not expecting to see Matt Ritchie scoring in that goal for Newcastle United.
I thought the corner flags were safe.
I know.
For eternity.
I know.
But I mean, you know what it is? It's really good movement from him because he drifts in from out wide and then he's spotted. I can't remember who put the ball in. Was it Bruno? Bruno put that ball in. Great ball in. And he actually isn't trying to score with his first touch. He's trying to head it back across.
And why?
Longstaff was in there.
A yard out.
And he tries to head it across, and it ricochets off the defender and then off the keeper. And he's following his own ball in.
Yeah.
It's a good job he's still in that movement, and then he's just there to tap it in, and then just like
little
hop, skip, jump, and the hands are going up like that, and then straight the corner flag to beat the crap out.
I think he'd been on the field for less than a minute.
It's his first touch, as I said. It's his actual first touch of the ball.
But I gave Gordon credit for getting the ball and running back to the halfway line. Richie wasn't doing that.
No, he was.
And I don't blame him. Do you know what it is? I don't blame him. That's probably. Do you know what it is?
Nice to see.
It's probably the last goal he'll score for Newcastle. But then again, I didn't
think he'd
score another. So it was great. Like, you know what it is?
I might have him up front. Forward.
It was just a great moment.
Nostalgia, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
When he was
Man, it was against Bournemouth as well. I thought.
Yeah, it's not the first time he's done it against Bournemouth either. In the last minute or so.
There's a couple of interviews that he's done after the game where you can tell that he just loves this football club. He loves being here. And he's saying that, like, I didn't think I'd ever get a chance to repay what I've had in the last X amount.
Do you know what it is? That's a contrast from everything you read in the press as well, because they're all saying, well, he wants to move back down south for his family and that. And then you hear him talk like that after scoring that goal. And it's just
there's maybe a bit in the middle, isn't it?
Yeah, there'll be a middle ground, of course, will be. But do you know what it is? Before we wrap this one up, I just want to address once again, Gordon. I know we've spoken about it a couple of times. Do you know what? We'll wax lyrical all the time, Decker, on a Monday show about Gordon. And I've always said that, yes, he can do a job as that striker role if needs be. But I was impressed again yesterday. Just out of his natural position, Harvey Barnes has filled that void, which, once again, I thought Barnes was decent. Didn't really have huge involvement, but the times that he did have the ball, he was decent. But Gordon, I just can't get over like how much shit Newcastle got for spending 45 mil on him.
It was a lot of money, yeah.
He's a great player, isn't he?
Unbelievable. He's way better than I thought he was. Because I remember when he was linked with Chelsea, wasn't he? I'm going back when he just burst on the scene and they were saying like 50 million. I remember laughing, going, hell, it's a lot of money for him. And a bit of a dive at, in my opinion, never seems to want to stand up. He's a little rat. He's, all the rest of it, right? And and I think this is where you've got to try and look at it. Sometimes you watch a player on highlights, don't you, in motions. I don't watch much of Everton, right? I watch them off the telly, but and when we signed them, even their fans, I know some of their fans, and they were messaging me, who I know personally, and they were like saying, he's what's the word? Almost like Almiron.
One trick pony a lot.
Yeah, he worked really hard, but he's got no end product and blah blah blah. But my God, he's been absolutely unbelievable.
He's been my best player this season.
Yeah, without doubt. Yeah,
that's a bit of saltiness, I think, from
because
of the way it ended as well.
Yeah.
I heard it from Leicester fans because I had on a podcast when first signed Barnes, and one of the Leicester fans and saying, "Oh, you won't get much from him. You'll get the same thing where he'll just run to the byline, cross it in. That's all he does." From what we've seen I know it hasn't been a huge amount which we've seen from Barnes, but I think he's a great player, Barnes.
You know what it is? There's some aspects of his play yesterday which really impressed me, because when the ball was being played up, he was actually stepping inside to hold the ball up as well. There's a few times where he got it on his chest and just
the second half started with Barnes up top in that number 9 role and Gordon on the left hand side. Before we go there, I want to address one thing, and Deck has touched on it. When Murphy came on, and everybody knows we like Jacob Murphy and what he's done the last few years and improvement which we've seen from Jacob. But Jesus, Decker, he was shocking when he came on.
Riddled with errors, man. Like, it was the Murphy that I used to criticize all the time, just riddled with errors. Like,
there was one challenge in the middle of the park where he just 50-50 and he bottles that challenge. I'm not sure if obviously he's just come back from an injury, an illness, or whatever, it's just been sidelined. But he bottled that.
There was a moment just after that as well where the ball broke out of the box after we'd all been piled in, and it was between him and I think Botman, and he left it. And Botman was like, "Well, you're closer. You need to be getting it." And they got caught out, and then they latched onto it, and they were attacking, and they won a corner off it. I think in the end,
they had a good chance. I think right at the end of the game, and I think it was from that as well.
That chance which they had, if it's the same one I'm thinking about it, where Botman tries to take him out on the halfway line, but he misses it.
Yeah, and Murphy ends up running back.
Murphy's right with him all the way along, and I'm screaming because this is late on in the game, and I'm screaming, just take him out. And I've said this so many times this season about different players. Was it the Milan game possibly, where the PSG game, just clatter them, but we didn't. We just ran after them, chased the shadow as well, and just take the book and clip his heels.
Yeah.
But obviously, luckily, it didn't come to nothing, because that would have put them 3-1 up at that point.
Yeah,
game over.
Again, I mean, we are asking Murphy to play in a position that he's not used to and comfortable with, and I will give that. However, there were certain things like just little passes, trying to take players on when he should have passed. The one I'll come back to when Bruno played that lovely through ball, and he just didn't really want to go for it. I'm thinking, you're in the 6-yard box, yeah, mate. And it was a lovely ball from Bruno as well. It was a hell of a chance, I thought. And again, Wilson would have just been in there. And I know it's dead easy to say that in hindsight, but and again, I don't want to blame Murphy too much because it's not his position. But I did think when he came on, he was poor. But and I mean this with the greatest respects, we shouldn't be in a position where we are bringing on Murphy with half an hour to go as a forward. We just shouldn't be in this situation, in my opinion. But that's for the
that's where we're on now.
It's just mad,
Wilson's out for a few months now by the looks of it.
12 weeks.
Isaac, God knows. Eddie Howe once again keeping his cards close to his chest.
So he was close, didn't he? Yeah. Seemed to be close, but
Barnes was close for months.
Yeah,
Barnes was close for a long time. So we don't know. Obviously, Arsenal coming up. But we'll
I wouldn't even bother playing him for that. Just take your medicine. Take your medicine and come home, man.
Yeah. But God knows what'll happen there. But we will touch on that on Monday night's live show, which will be 8:10, like I said, on Monday. Anything that you want to add about that game before we call it, Dave?
Just Shea's injury at the end. Didn't look good. I haven't heard anything since, but just him coming off with it.
I think it's
always looks injured though, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, when he first sat down at the end, I thought he was pointing at his groin because of where his hand had but it was clear he was resting his hand there. And I think I've seen somewhere afterwards it's actually his wrist and not his shoulder, which thank God.
Oh well, that could
You can
be
you can carry on with if you've got your wrist in a cast. So hopefully that's
Marcelino couldn't
what
carry
it
on with
is.
a bad finger, but no, she's tougher stuff. But I think that's because he's all right because he is. I didn't think he played very well. I didn't think either centre half played well actually on Saturday personally, but still a huge player share for us, like huge player. So we've got problems at that end of the pitch, Christ. We didn't want more this end. So
definitely not. Just to end on a positive, that's what 5 games unbeaten now. Last defeat was Man City.
Yep.
So
just one loss this year.
It's mad, isn't it? We're home form was electric. Couldn't win away. And now that's just slightly changed a bit. We're not losing at home necessarily, but we're not picking up as
but
the
we're
points.
leaking.
We're leaking. I mean, you've had Luton and Bournemouth at home, and I think everyone would have expected 6 points, or really, or 4. We've drew both games, but we're away form has been strong, which
and having a claw from behind as well.
Yeah.
And I think conceding a minimum of 2 goals in every Premier League game since the turn of the year is not necessarily great.
That needs to be changed.
But thanks everybody who has been listening or watching to this one. Means a lot to us. If you are watching on YouTube, just like the video, become a subscriber. It costs you absolutely nothing to do that. If you're listening to the audio, just give us a 5-star review and leave a little comment as well. If you do want to become a member, it is just $2.99 a month. You get extra content, you get early access to content, you get access to the Telegram group as well, and there'll be events throughout the season for members of that group as well. But enjoy it, and we'll see you on Monday night. Ta-ra.